your days or with comparison. Don't do the comparison with other children, right? So this is the way the child slowly and gradually become obedient of you, of the society. Respect the child, understand the child, then the time will come, the child understand you, respect you. Character like a silence that is there. But we have to, as I said to you, the abilities has given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody has that power to give any ability, even 0.001% ability to the child, to anyone. What we only can do in our capacity, what sort of environment we...
She asked, ma'am, can you tell me what obedience really is? And spontaneously I replied her, when you follow your husband's instruction with a smile on your face. And then of course I gave a serious answer. According to Montessori, it is something else. So yes, thank you, ma'am Nazra. Let us conclude her lecture with that applause that you will so obediently clap now. Come on, clap now. We are still with the book, Absorbent Mind, and there is another lecture which I shall be doing. So what is my name? How do you know? You can read, right? Yes. Thank you, ma'am Nazra, for pointing that out. And no students are allowed to sit here with the books because sometimes the books are transparent and you can see through them, okay? I did myself notice when I was going there to the reception table that you were not listening and you were revising and cramming for your test. So it's not, again, it's not the part of your training. You have studied for 1 month, and if you do last minute studying, you are only going to mix up and get confused. What we are saying is more important, equally important, because if you remember what we say, if you understand what we say, you can handle your final examination, all questions without reading, believe me. So, reading has its importance, but this is not the time. So, I am passing on an instruction. If you don't pass it on to Ms. Rabika, you don't have to go. Kindly, there's a table there and just leave all your books over there. It's a humble request, please, and then we'll continue with the lecture session. The next topic is mistake and their correction. So, what we were just doing right now, keeping the books, reading the books, do you think it was a mistake?
Yes.
Yes. And did we make a correction of it?
Yes.
But did you like it?
No.
No. No human being likes to be pointed out their mistake. This is the nature that we are born with. Even the smallest 3-year-old child, you try to tell him that say sorry, and he will have all the ego and self-pride, and he will say no. Mama, aap sorry ko. He has done something wrong, and these days children are forcing their mother that, okay, if you say sorry first, then I will say it. So what is that? How is this human's nature of making mistake and correcting it is handled in the Montessori environment? If you close your eyes and try to visualize a typical Montessori environment, whether you have worked in a school or you have not, whether you have seen a Montessori school or you have not, you should have a vision of a huge hall, maybe half this size, probably fully carpeted, with low furnitures and low shelves all around. And then there could be about 30 to 40 children all at work. Some are lying on the carpet with the mat spread and doing maybe a puzzle map or some math number rods, red rods. Others are sitting on the table, pouring beans, working with the cylinder blocks. And there is a unique sort of environment which can only prevail in the Montessori environment. And that is discipline. How can such discipline be obtained? Was it by order or command? How were the children so obedient? Who is the force? What is the force?
An activity or an exercise.
Sorry?
An activity or an exercise they were busy.
Right? So, the question rises, right? How can children, 40 children, be working without disturbing one another? And when you look around and you try to find an adult, chances are you may not see an adult walking around and supervising. In fact, the Montessori directress becomes almost invisible. She may be sitting in the back in the classroom in a small chair. Yes, but what she is doing? She is observing. She is making notes and she is watching. But if there is one thing she is not doing, and that is interfering. Okay? So the key for the unique discipline that prevails in a Montessori environment, it is because the environment provides, caters for things which the child is attracted to. The child wants to work, and if an adult does not interfere, the child is happy. So, because he is given the freedom to move, the freedom to choose, and the freedom to work, and work for as long as he likes. This adult that we are talking about, and in the Montessori environment, she is trained, so fine. Maybe she knows her job and she knows her duty, she knows her responsibility, and she knows that she is not supposed to interfere. But we will talk about the adult in the home environment later on. Is the adult in the home trained not to stop the child, not to praise the child, not to discourage the child? So the aim of the Montessori directress to focus towards mistakes and their correction, there are 3 rules she has to follow. Rule number 1, do not interfere. If a child is working with a material, you just pretend you're not even watching him. Do not stop by and give a praise. Like, wow, you made that? She is doing it to encourage him, but that will only discourage the child. And the child's rhythm, the concentration, and the pace he was working will just suddenly break. And he may not be able to continue with the completion of the pin tower. And then, the 3rd rule, if you're seeing a child making a mistake, don't stop and say, no, that's not how to do it. Let auntie show you how to do it. That's it. That could be the last time in his life the child may want to try that material again. Basically, the teacher's role is she thinks that she has to teach. Isn't that so?
Yes.
She is the teacher. Why she has to teach? Because the child does not know. And the child doesn't know, so he is going to make mistake. What is the second job of the teacher? Is to correct the mistake. I am the teacher, I know this little child, I'm tired of correcting him, but still he keeps making the same mistake. Isn't that the typical attitude of a typical teacher? How is his mistakes corrected? She takes a copy, checks the work, maybe the spelling, maybe numbers it could be anything, and she puts crosses with red pen. Wrong, unsatisfactory, needs improvement, red circle, 0 out of 10. How marking the child, giving him a knot, will help him correct his mistake? Remember, if he is making mistake, that means he is already below the standard. Something is not clicking, maybe he's not learning the spelling, he can't write numbers 1 to 10 in sequence. And on top of that, I'll use Urdu slang, सोने पे सुहागा. I mean, when a child needs more of your attention, what we are doing, we are scolding him, we are discouraging him, and then do you think that will, if it could improve, we should. But put your hands on your heart and ask yourself the question, any human being, especially the child, if you tell him this is wrong, you can't do it properly, you are foolish, with all due respect, teachers use words like stupid, no idiot. When will you understand? I have taught you so many times, you will never pass your exam. These are the remarks of the teacher. Dr. Montessori says that the way the teachers in ordinary school correct the mistake of the children is to, long ago, I hope they don't do it anymore, that the child who is not improving, is not performing well, they used to make donkey ears and make him look like a donkey and make him walk around the classroom so everybody knows that this child is he has failed. Would that encourage him?
No.
If a child's handwriting was bad, the teacher will take a stick and hit him and hit him and hit him for writing poorly. Would that help him improve the mistake? According to Montessori, she says, if you take all the papers in the world and make as many donkey ears as possible and embarrass and ashame the child, or if you beat the child's fingers to the extent that it bleeds and becomes pulp and it's not even writable too, it's not. But when he has finally got it, he may run to the teacher, auntie, come, I have done this. That is encouragement. He doesn't need a reward for that. He doesn't need to be punished for making that mistake. The material told him, he learned. So as they say, practice makes perfect. And that's what the Montessori environment does for the child. He is given the freedom to read, make mistakes, check his own mistake, correct his own self, so that he does not feel humiliated. And when we know something by ourselves, that makes more sense. If you make a spelling mistake and somebody learns the spelling for you, how is that going to help you? It's you who has to do it. We as adults, we learn to drive cars. How many of you can drive? Could we drive very well in the beginning?
No.
And bad. And if we were discouraged too much by the male members like our father or brother or husband, well, many times women, if they hit the while reversing and so on, they never drive again in their life. But if you make mistake, nobody was watching, and you turn and you have tried again, and you know how to take turn corners, you know how to reverse, and then you end up driving when all your reflexes are working automatically. You don't think twice when you're pressing the brakes or the accelerator or changing the gears. It becomes a natural part. But that is because you practiced. Can anybody learn to drive for you? So why the child? Why the teacher must do or show the child the correct way to do the things? Why can't the child be allowed? And that's what happens in the Montessori environment. If something spills, something falls down, no problem. All the children run up, they quickly mop it up, clean it up, because they have accepted from the very beginning that it's okay. It's okay to make mistake. We are only normal. And then later on, when the children are about 5 years old, they are maths problems. He checks his own answers, all the charts, verification charts. Unfortunately, if in our environment we gave the adult verification chart, they will put all their answers correct. But there is a child who is just judging himself. Once Dr. Maria Montessori wrote a little slip for a little girl, and she asked her to read it and perform the action. It said, go outside, close the door and come back in. The child read it and she stood and she started to go outside, and she stopped and she said, if I close the door, how could I come back in? And the teacher said, oh yes, I have made a mistake. I shouldn't have written that. So the teacher had a smile on her face, and I tell you, I mean, when we see what they are doing as part of their training, you send them anywhere, any Saturday to take tests, You give them bundles of paper to check, and you don't give them deadline, and it comes back to you, check within. They are just amazing. The kind of creativity. Just recently we had visited Gulshan branch for a demo, and not amazed, not impressed, not amazed. I was really taken back. Okay, there is so much creativity in the teacher to bring out that from the students, and that is Miss Amina's branch. That is Gulshan branch, and she had this door, and when you look at when you close the door, the top of the door had a hat, and there were just two little black circles and a triangle on the door. And once it's closed, it was a face wearing a hat. And language, sir may discourage me that I should not overpraise so much, but they deserve it. Of course, they have a long way to go, and we all have a long way to go. But they are lucky to be in the right place at the right time, under the right directions. And you know, the world would not have Montessorian as we the LMIans, because the Montessorians are just focusing on the child, and we are literally versatile. LMI stands for Ladies Versatile Ladies Multi Images. Okay? Ladies Multi Images, which we all have. And Shumaila, and in just same day, about, that was when, 20th. She completed 1 year. She's just 1 year old, and in 1 year she has not only learned to sit and crawl and stand. In fact, she is already running. And her target and our target is the Olympics. Oh, and Montessori, of course, inshallah. And so watch us. By the way, how many of you watched our website? Cameraman, don't focus at their hands. This is so disappointing. Teachers, please pass on our website. If you want to note it down, it is www.londonmontessoriint.org. From the introduction, everybody knows who Mrs. Meher Javed is. And if you didn't know, body language could tell. All three of them were sitting back, and Ma'am Meher was almost ready. And that's what we all human do. And this is what makes us normal human beings. So let's give Mrs. Meher a very warm welcome for the topic, discipline and the teacher. All are interrelated, levels of obedience, mistakes and correction, and now the discipline and the teacher. Ma'am Meher.
My topic, discipline and the teacher. Discipline is what? And how would you explain discipline?
Living in organized way.
Yes. To some extent, that you have control over yourself, you will behave in a proper, orderly way. That is the discipline. And that is what is expected in a classroom. So in this chapter, Maria Montessori quotes from the teacher that when she enters the classroom, she has many expectations. Whatever she has read in the books, she will find out that that is not there actually. But the expectation is such that I have been trained that if we give freedom to the child, then child will be in a position where he will show perfect behavior. So it is the experience of the teacher which will guide him through the different stages of attaining discipline. Discipline is not something which is built in the child. It is not something which he is having already when he joins the school. It is something which has to be developed. It will come with time, with activities. And then what happens when the teacher enters? She sees that the children are restless, they are crying, they are not active, or some may be overactive. They want to do everything. But that again is not a positive sign. She will introduce to the children their work, but when the directress is busy with one child, the other class is in complete chaos. They are disturbing each other, they are misusing the material, but that is a problem for the teacher. She had expected that she will give presentation to the one child and others will be all well behaved, well organized, continuing with the work as she had been reading in her books, as she was seeing in her experience with the theories. But in reality, it is much more different. When she enters, some children are restless. They will move from one activity to another, and soon all the activities are covered. And at that time, the directors feel so my child has done everything. But this is not a sign of learning. It is a sign of impatience. It is a kind of a deviation. The child is moving from one activity to another without any control or interest. He just wants to see everything, but he is not really interested in any of those activities. In real life also you will see there are many children who will ask you a question, but they do not wait for the answer. They want your attention, they ask you something, and then without getting the answer, they move on to the next thing. It is not that the child is very intelligent or he is very smart and he knows everything, he got the answer to that. It is the inner indiscipline. Discipline has to be built in. And how it will come? It is the